Hey, this is Matt once again. What about to another video? This is another paid request, this time for I Hate Facebook. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of video, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for a 1990 TV movie called Jekyll and Hyde, which I'd never heard of this, but it's I don't know what channel it was on, but it stars Michael Caine as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And it's told in a way where most of the film is a flashback, because the beginning is this girl who is in love with Dr. Jekyll. This guy goes up to find her. She has a son. She wants nothing to do with Jekyll's estate since Dr. Jekyll has passed away. And then she tells a story about what happened. Now, we don't get the build-up of Dr. Jekyll turning to Mr. Hyde. Like, boom, right from the get-go, he's Mr. Hyde being chased. Accidentally knocks this girl. I can't even say accident. It's not really accident. Knocks this girl, little girl, who just trampled by horses. She's still alive. They take her to see the doctor, which happens to be Dr. Jekyll. So, by the time they get to his office, he's been changed back from Hyde to Jekyll. Now, Dr. Jekyll, his wife is dead. He's in love with his sister-in-law, who's also married. The father-in-law is Joss Ackland. He was the bad guy in Lethal Weapon 2. He's the guy who said, "Triple bad community." He was also the main bad guy in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. And it's a very talky movie. You could tell it's a TV movie. You have the fade out for commercial breaks. Decent production design to make it look like old school England back in the day. Michael Caine I enjoy as an actor. I think that helped me got through this film, because I like him in The Island. Not the one with Michael Bay. This is one from the 80s, from a Peter Benchley novel. I liked him in this movie called The Swarm. Anytime Michael Caine pops in, it's always got a little bit of a smile on my face, because I think he's a good actor. He is talented. And in this, as Dr. Jekyll, I enjoyed him, and there's a bit of over-the-topness, but even that was at least somewhat enjoyable. Did you tell me it's the opposite of sleepwalking? At least that. Don't sleepwalk the world. If you don't want to be over the top, then be over the top and at least entertaining. And he was even nominated, I think, for an Emmy and a Golden Globe. I don't know about Golden Globe. I know he was nominated for an Emmy for this role. Didn't win. Now, when he does go to Mr. Hyde, that's where the issues begin, because they look really goofy. They try to do the bladder effects. If you remember that old movie back in the day, The Beast Within, from 1982 or so, give or take, where you had the bladder effects where the head kind of balloons up and this part balloons up, this part balloons up. They really went with the bladder effects for the transformations. And then Mr. Hyde is just kind of a, I don't want to say a mongoloid, but to be a goofy looking monster. Goofy looking mouth, face. It hinders anything Michael Caine. Like, you could have told me that was a different actor and I would believe it. The voice is very changed, and Mr. Hyde doesn't really talk a lot. Very few sentences. And so, because you don't have a lot of sentences and stuff for Michael Caine to play with, because the makeup is, again, to me, is goofy, it's silly looking. I don't know if it's like a mongoloid and a melted marshmallow. I don't think it looks scary or creepy. It looks goofy. It looks silly. And also at times there is elements of Mr. Hyde where he's running through the streets, or someone finds him out and he's throwing stuff in a bar, attached someone and it's a cutaway. attacks some cops, throws one off a banister. It still feels a bit more like trying to be a love story between Michael Caine and the sister-in-law, played by Cheryl Ladd. Michael Caine, he's trying, like when he's talking to her and she's talking about how her father-in-law doesn't like him and what you're doing, your experience are evil, and he goes, evil, is that the scientific word? I can't do Michael Caine. Or at one point he quits teaching because he talks about how science creates new breeds of men, violent men to fight wars, and, well, I want no part of it. Which I think that's a bit hypocritical, or maybe he's coming to that conclusion. Because at one point he does stop and he says, I wanted to turn the ugly beautiful, I wanted to turn the stupid bright. But all I found was Hyde. And it gets to that question of why doesn't he stop doing it? Well, he does. He actually does stop doing it. I don't know why he didn't stop sooner. You would think after the very first transformation, you'd be done. And it's weird because there's a point where again, after the little girl was accidentally trampled, you would think, okay, now you stop it right then and there. But he keeps drinking it. And there's a part, mostly cutaway, of course, made sense because it's a TV movie, where the sister-in-law gets violated by Mr. Hyde. Pretty much Mr. Hyde's there, cuts away, commercial break, comes back in, they find her, she's scratched up. Cheryl Ladd, though, her character, man, she is more forgiving than me or anyone else would be, because Dr. Jekyll, and again, the spoilers, so spoilers, Dr. Jekyll tells her the truth, has a picture to, she believes him, and she forgives him very easily. Like, she forgives him very, very easily. So, it's the power of love. Ba-da-da. It's the power of love. I do like that they have Michael Caine. He does quit. He does go, I was supposed to get rid of pain, not cause it. I think Michael Caine is trying. And then he's trying to live a life with this girl, and I wouldn't say there's a montage, but there's a few scenes of them enjoying their life. But then he starts changing, and he realizes that it doesn't really go into the whole drug addiction, drug abuse thing as much as other Jekyll and Hyde tales have done. Maybe the bare essentials, but you know, a lot of times Jekyll and Hyde is kind of a note of drug abuse. This thing that can turn you into not the best view of you, but yet you keep doing it because of some type of compulsion. That's not really the case here. Because yet he changes. If you want to go more into that drug abuse compulsion, it would be that despite his life going well, he does it one more time and it was the worst mistake. And he does it because of X, Y, and Z reasons. Now, Graham, here I think it makes it a little bit more tragic. He's a huge viper living inside of me. A captive drug, but he's so strong. He's so strong. There's also one of the versions that deals a bit with Dr. Jekyll's parents, where that's not a lot of stories. I mean, it's not a big part of the story, but it is, you know, a little part of it. The thing is, as a TV movie, it's just not that remarkable, memorable, or exceptional in much of anything. If you've seen a lot of Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde incarnations, it makes you go, why would you even watch this one? It's hampered by a TV budget because Mr. Hyde doesn't do a whole lot of stuff. You can't get far in terms of intensity at the time for a TV movie. Unless you're something like Stephen King's It, that's a different matter. And to be honest, parts are just rather boring. I didn't really care a whole lot about the love story. Like, this is very talky. At times, it's trying to be this subplot about this reporter looking into a possible scandal involving maybe Jekyll or all this other stuff. I did the Mr. Hyde when he comes into it from time to time. Maybe it's not as much as some people would want. He just looks silly. He looks ridiculous. He doesn't. And that gets to the very end, super spoiler story now, where he changes in front of Joss Ackland. He's like, only God could help you. And Michael Caine's like, after he finally drinks this and comes back to being Michael Caine again, then why doesn't he help me? Why doesn't he? It pretty much ends with he locks himself in a room, gets the girl out. Very over the top, very big in his performance, but I'd rather have that than Sleepwalking. And you get the idea he shot himself. And then you go back to the present day, and the last shot of the film is the reveal of she does have a kid, a son, but the son, the face is Mr. Hyde. So Mr. Hyde lives on despite the fact Dr. Jekyll is gone. So it's a little kid with the Mr. Hyde face, and literally the last shot he looks at the camera. It's the return of Eddie Munster. It just, again, that seems just really goofy and silly while it's meant to be scary and creepy. With the makeup, with the way the kid looks, he looks like an alien. He looks like our UFOs ready to come on over and pick him up. So he turned to an alien? I don't know, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man's brother? Or son? Cousin? I think what the performance Michael Caine has, it could have been utilized into a theatrical film with a bit of a bigger budget, maybe a bit more action, or like interesting set pieces or memorable set pieces. Much better makeup. Have makeup that, it's ugly disfigured, but you still get Michael Caine's essence through. To me, Michael Caine is gone when Mr. Hyde shows up, because again, you barely any dialogue, the way he looks, and again, it's sad when makeup from back in the day, what was the actor's name? Not the silent era, but around the time of the Universal Monsters, like the 40s, 30s, 40s, there was a Dr. Jekyll beside, and that face looks really good. I'm sitting there going, why is it that back then is better than a 1990 TV movie, but still. So, I would say if you're a diehard Dr. Jekyll fan, and you need to see every incarnation of the story, or you're a diehard Michael Caine fan, that's the only reason I would see you would get anything out of this. Again, it's just there's been so many other Jekyll and Hyde stories. They're either that much more exciting or that much more memorable, remarkable. I would not remember this film a week later if I didn't do the review now. Is that awful terrible? It's just only see it. It was nice to see once from Michael Caine. He does. I think he does pretty decent as Dr. Jekyll. But even then, I wish we could have seen much more of a Mr. Hyde from him. That really showcases a nasty version of Michael Caine's performance. Just be nasty and angry and psychopathic, and even if there was no makeup, just maybe slightly altered and slightly, something around the eyes to make it look more tired and more angry, and maybe some stuff here, like maybe, I don't know why, but scars pop up, or just much more like that to me, to see more of Michael Caine's acting the evil side would have served the story better. Again, than this goofy looking, like from a 1950s. I can't say that because there was some better in that, like. And then again, the bladder effects are very, again, kind of like the Beast Within, where it's that American Wolf in London type of transformation. So take that for what you will. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.